Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video we're going to be taking a first look at S Class Noor, who is going to be a new promo character coming to Road to Survival. Visually, as you can see, she seems to be a nurse or an ex-nurse, I would assume, or at least ransacked a hospital of some kind, because she has got the nurse's hat on and does look like she's got a medical bag on her shoulder as well. This is the first character called Noor in the game. She is kind of giving me Teresa vibes in terms of her having the knuckle dusters. On the left hand side you can see her avatar as you would see her, and what we can see is she has a scar on her right eyebrow. That's pretty much all we can see here. That's extra on top of the character model itself. With 30 veteran rings, she has 5,253 attack, 3,526 defense and 3,709 HP. She is considered a support character, but her stats are very much leaning towards the attack. She is a fast character, of course, just like Teresa was with her knuckle dusters in the 5-star era, and we'll check out what Noor has to bring with her kit. On her rush, it is called 1-2 Punch. It is a 76 AP cost rush. Deal 2 attacks of 550% damage, that's 1,100% total, to one enemy. This character regains up to 50% of their max HP. All other teammates recover from disarm, stun and confuse. So lots going on here. 3 separate parts. The damage is nice, 550 to 2 characters effectively, because if you take out one, you can then do the 550% to another. If it doesn't take out the character on the first attack, it will do the second attack on that same character, but potentially could take out 2 characters as rush. The second part is just a self-heal, 50% to self, which isn't actually too bad. It is pretty nice. And then the last part is all other teammates, not including Noor, will get cleansed from disarm, stun, and confuse. The confuse part of this is very important because we are seeing confuse a little bit more often than we have in the past, and not too many people run confuse resist. I don't think it's going to become a norm just yet, but having someone who actually removes it is quite beneficial. Okay, so this is going to be an extreme situation when it comes to Noor. Obviously, she's coming up against very low HP characters. This is just to show top potential of her rush in terms of being able to take out 2 characters. When you hit the rush button, any characters on your own team that are stunned, that will be cleansed. Any characters that have confused, that will be cleansed. Anyone that is disarmed, that will be cleansed. But also, she gains 50% HP. But if she takes out one character, she will then go to a second character and take them out as well. It's as simple as that. That's how it works. It works like that with Priya. It works like that with any character that does multiple hits on their rushes. The downside of this, of course, as always, is if a character has impair on defense or stun on defense, that will actually potentially stop her from doing future rushes or stop her in her tracks. If she gets stunned after the first attack, she's just stopped. If she gets impaired after the first attack, she will still do the second one. But this also means that her weapon itself, if it has a special in the 3rd slot, can actually happen when she's attacking too. So for instance, if she did have impair on attack as a weapon in her hands, the fast weapon that you 5-starred and wanted to give it to her, she could impair when she did each of those separate 2 attacks on the rush. So her rush is pretty decent. The damage output is going to be quite nice because her base attack is fairly high. Anything over 5,000 is pretty decent. When you consider characters like Arav has 4.5k, you know that anything over 5k is good. The self-heal and the cleanse kind of feel out of place on this character, however, but she is deemed as a support character, so it does play into that role a little bit more. Now when we look at her active skill, it is Stun, Guardian Shield and Gain AP. It has an initial cooldown of 2, cooldown of 3 and number of uses 5. Target enemy gets stunned for 3 turns. This character gains Guardian Shield and 40% AP. Now 40% AP is not enough AP for her to get a natural turn 3 rush on an attack team. However, it would be enough on a defense team if you had an AP leader as well. Currently there are no defense leaders in the S class era that give defensive stats and AP on attack. So she would still need a character like Rick who gives 8% AP to everybody for 1 turn to get that natural turn 3 rush if she was to use this active. The active is pretty good though. A 3-turn stun is nice, especially if you are using her on an attack team, because on an attack team you can see who has got the resists and who hasn't, and anyone who doesn't have stun resist is a guaranteed stun. Okay, so on the first turn what I'm going to do is just defend with everybody, and then on the second turn I'm going to use my active on the leader. This is turn 2, the natural cooldown, the first turn cooldown for this active skill. We will stun Lily for 3 turns. Noor herself will gain the Guardian Shield and gain 31 AP. Normally she would gain 40 AP on an attack with a huge AP leader and huge AP on the weapon, but because we've got Rick in here as well, she now has 38 AP, and that means she only actually has to do a basic attack with very large weapon in her hands, and she'll get a natural rush turn 3. I don't see this active skill as being super important. It doesn't really give her any buffs. There's no attack boost here. There's no real 100% need to do this every single time, but it is nice to actually control someone for multiple turns, especially if they do not have stun resist. If you do have Rick on your attack team, you could potentially command her on that turn 2, and depending on how flimsy the defense team is, you could potentially take out 2 characters with that rush. However, because of her specialist skill, which is follow-up, there is a lot more that can go on here, and this is where things can get kind of screwy in terms of how they've geared her active skill timing over everything else. If she does take someone out on the first turn, she'll be guaranteed to get her rush for turn 2, and that means she will not do her active. On a defense team it is guaranteed, because on a defense team you're always going to prioritize rushes over actives on a character, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, I don't think the active is that much of a priority. This does however mean that she could get a first turn rush if she is commanded, but at the very least could get a second turn natural rush. So now on turn 1, we will just do the basic attack here on Eugene, and you'll see I'll get to have another basic attack right now. I can attack Lily, and I would, no matter what, get my rush in that situation if I did get the takedown on the first attack. The second attack wouldn't necessarily have to take anyone down. I just wouldn't be able to go again because you only get 1 follow-up per turn. However, I would be able to command and potentially take down 1, maybe 2 more, depending on the sort of damage output and the sort of team I'm actually coming up against. Now, there are no weapons that can utilize her rush potential with her follow-up in terms of like rampage or splash damage for fast characters just yet, but who knows, something like that may come out in the future. So when you do those extra attacks, you could potentially do splash damage or bonus damage elsewhere. We have got a splash damage weapon for strong characters, for instance, that is off trait. Now, Noor does have an attached weapon, and this is where Noor goes from this damage dealing character that has a little bit of support to a character that is kind of strange but obviously extremely powerful at the same time. And the weapon is Noor's defensive brass knuckles. It has 30% defense on the top slot, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, and in the third slot, when killing an enemy, gain 100% AP, and up to 2 teammates gain 50% AP. In the test you just saw me run, I did 5-star her weapon so that you didn't see this happening. Otherwise you would have been like, what's going on? Because there would have been AP going everywhere. And that is basically what's the potential that can actually happen with this character. She can be giving out AP to the standards of Doc Stevens if she takes someone out, which is actually crazy. And she can do that from turn 1. So we'll attack again, exactly the same situation, but now she has got her weapon in her hands. And what's going to happen after the first attack is Noor's going to get her rush instantly after 1 attack, as long as she takes someone down. And because she's got follow-up, that means she can do her rush again instantly. That's just how it works. It's kind of going to be like Arav, but because of her weapon rather than her rush. And what's also going to happen is Clementine and Rick are both going to get their rushes as well. If we do a basic attack, you can see 50% goes to both Rick and Clementine, but now Noor can rush, so if I rush again, she'll take down 2 enemies, and Clementine and Rick will both get their rushes as well. So obviously insane in terms of power, and then what I can just do again is just command her and take down 2 more. Now she would have to have huge amounts of damage or come up against not the most defensive S-Class team to do this. So we'll just see that again in a full team situation. When I attack with Noor, it will go to Michonne and Alpha, and what should happen here is Michonne and Alpha should be given the AP of the second takedown as well, because they've already got the highest AP. The AP bonuses should always go to the characters with the highest AP, so people will fill up to 100% first before people with lower AP will start getting it. And that's what has happened. They've both been given their rush, and Clementine and Rick have also been given 50%. And if I was to command in this situation, we'll see Clementine and Rick both get their rushes as well, obviously, because we do get 2 more takedowns, which is another plus 50% twice. So obviously that is an extremely powerful weapon. The rest of Noor's kit is very, very nice. I did come up against a very bad team there purposefully just to show you the top end potential of what she can bring to the table. People may question why she has a 30% defense bonus here. I kind of feel like she's being geared towards a defense team to take out weak offensive characters and give huge amounts of AP boost to defense teams. It will still work on an attack team. You can obviously just increase her attack stat elsewhere, leader skill, combat mods. You can even do it on her weapon as well if you so wish. But I do see her being quite viable on a defense team, just because, I've always said this, attack teams are always going to run into problems with damage dealers on defense teams, and that's because they don't have very good defense stats themselves, and Noor hits extremely hard. If she takes down one character, 2 people are going to be gaining 50% AP. Noor herself is going to be getting her rush back instantly, and then she's going to be able to rush either right away because of her follow-up, or she's going to be able to rush instantly the next turn. I think the potential of Noor is extreme, and it all comes down to that 3rd slot on the weapon. The rest of her kit is okay, and fast characters don't really have any 3rd slots on the weapons that can really boost that sort of damage output. Like I said, no splash damage, no rampage, nothing like that. But this 3rd slot obviously is crazy. It can work on teams like Jackie defense teams with traders in it. It can work on attack teams with Arav in it to get his rush nice and quick. He could potentially get his rush turn 1. And this may be the end of Doc Stevens long term once this character becomes a bit more widely available, as she is pretty much doing the job of him as well. She will work extremely well with the more recently released Axel, who obviously is a fast and alert attack team leader. And there will be AP gain everywhere there, because there's 100% gain on Axel's active to 2. There's AP gain on her weapon. There's bonus attack on Axel's rush, which if it goes to Noor will be insane. There's a lot of potential for combinations with this character on attack and defense teams. So an extremely special character. I would say 100% never, ever, ever change that 3rd slot on her weapon. The potential of that is just so high. And if you get your hands on this character, it will change your game massively. AP gain manipulation is such a game-breaking feature. I do not think this character is as problematic as someone like Dr. Stevens was in the 6-star era. And of course, there are massive counters to this now with Exhaust. If you come up against an Angel and she does do her active skill turn 1, you will find Noor taking down enemies will basically nuke her own team. But very interesting character overall. What do you think of Noor as an S-Class character? Is she the kind of character that you'd like to have on your attack teams? That is the end of my video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.